Okay, B'siyata Deshmaya. This week you have Shabbos Parshas Nachamu. Parshas Nachamu, you have it's Shabbos Veschanan. Veschanan is to beten, to request from Hashem. It's davening. Chanun, matnas chinam, like from the word tachanun. We have this week, as last week, Ki chochmaschem uvinaschem leinamim, the goal of the Jew to show not only common sense, the depth of the human being, the intelligence of the human being, higher, way higher than the intelligence of the animals. When you can connect the natural with the supernatural, when you find the depth of the meaning, and we'll get to that hopefully. And then when you talk about, even in a practical way, they used to come to the tzaddikim, to the rabbis, to take care of business because those people didn't know how to, they fooled each other and so on. And then, um, and then you have Shabbos Nachamu. You have the Aseret Sadibris, you have Shabbos Nachamu. So let's get into it. Okay, so we're starting the share. Let's start off with V'eschanun el Hashem. V'eschanun el Hashem is matnas chinam. Tefillah, the power of tefillah. It's 515 from Tu B'Av all the way to Zayin Adar. You have 515 tefillahs kayedua of Moshe Rabbeinu. If you take every tefillah 3 times a week, plus Shabbos you have Musaf and Yom Tovim, you get 515 tefillahs. And Hashem says Rav Loch, that means tefillah works. If not, Hashem wouldn't say Rav Loch. So the Chazal learned that if you say Rav Loch, stop, don't go one step further. If you do one more tefillah, I'll have to listen to your tefillah and I'll have to answer positively, then you lose out. Now, there's a lot of zechus in the Klal Yisrael gathered, a lot of sort of points that they got because of Moshe's tefillah. No tefillah ever goes for Nord. Tefillah always works. Tefillah always works, not for you, for the next generation. It always works. At the end of the day, nobody ever loses out from davening. But you have to connect to the davening. It's not pushy, you have to know. So I want to jump in for 1 second. What does it have to do with the Beis HaMikdash? It's Shabbos Nachman. We just had Tisha B'Av. The word Tisha B'Av, the letters of Tisha B'Av, you're talking about Sha'as Ahava. The letters Tisha B'Av is the time of Ahava. And you saw it with the Kruvim together, like facing each other. You saw it, but Shofach Eitzav, Chamosa Eitzav Alavonim, he poured out his wrath on stone, inanimate objects. In other words, not to hurt his chosen children, his nation, so they can shed light to the whole world. So what did we lose with the Beis HaMikdash? There's one fact that we lost. Every time you made a bracha, you connected to Hashem. Every time you davened, you connected to Hashem. Every time you did something, a chesed, you saw not only the ripple effect, but you got to the shoyesh. You felt you became aligned more. You became, when you did a mitzvah, did you a mitzvah in the word tzavsa, connecting, right? Did you connect to Hashem? Did you feel more connected? Did you feel you did the right thing and it brought you closer? You're more compatible. Mahu racham, afat racham. In the time of the Beis HaMikdash, you had that connection that we're sorely missing today. And when we come to davening, when you say the Pashat Halalukas, right? You're saying the Psuki de Zimra, the verses of song. Do you really feel you're connecting to Hashem? That's before tefillah. That is the connect. What is Tehillim? I think I said this in the past, recorded. If not, I said it before we started to record the Shurim over here in this program. The Tefillah is not the Halalukas. Halalukas is only, Tehillim is only to connect. After the Tehillim, you say Yiratzin, so Yiratzin is powerful. You come to a tzaddik, a kaver, you dedicate a few pirkei Tehillim, then starts the davening. You can, of course, when you say Tehillim, you could daven as well, but Tehillim is connection. Dveikus Bashem, David HaMelech said it should be like, Koshem and Taharis, and it should, and Machloikas, and Shachayim, Perik Dalad, when I came to Slobodka, they showed it to me. The Machloikas, if it's Kinegom V'Holis, if it's Mamish, like Koshem, but the point is that for sure, what is Tehillim Dveikus B'Hashem? After you have Dveikus and you start davening, oh, then it's effective. Do you see the Dveikus in every part of your davening, every mitzvah, every when you say Shalom Aleichem to somebody, peace upon you, Hashem's whole someness should be upon you, Hashem's balance, well balanced and common sense should be upon you, that you should have seichla yosher, that you should see the world, yiras Hashem, you should see Hashem in every object, in every item, in every person. That is the question. That's what we had and we lost since we lost the Beis Hamikdash. Now, what's Tu B'Av? Tu B'Av is also reflection. Tu B'Av is a reflection of when does Shavuos end. I'll tell you something interesting. The Beis Haran, just a second, I made a bracha already. The Beis Haran, I think it was Beis Haran, somebody said, till when could you be mashlim the Tikkun El Shavuos, right? I think it says to Tu B'Av. Why Tu B'Av? I thought, why Tu B'Av? What the way I understand is because Tu B'Av is 40 days before, Arbun Yom Kodim Yitziras Havlad. So before they form the child, you have to. It's Yitzir is more the emotional part of the Bria, right? Before 40 days before you form the emotional part, which is basically who we are in this world. We're our emotions, right? Our memory, emotions. So before so you 40 days before the creation of the world, the creation was Chafei Kislev, right? Okay, that's Rabbi Lezer versus Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Yeshua is a Nissen, right? There's Rachmam and Din. Rabbi Lezer is more Din, so he holds it was there. But the point is Tishrei is Din. But the point is that 25 days, 40 days before the 25th of Elul, when Hashem created the world, so the 6th day of the creation, and Rosh Hashanah is the first day, the 6th day, which Adam Rishon was born, and it's the Yom Adin for the whole humanity. Okay, because a birthday is the Yom Adin for humanity. So 40 days is from Tu B'Av. Shavuos ends at Tu B'Av. That's the culmination of Shavuos. So Tu B'Av is already a new phase. It's that's already going on to the El, and Tishrei and so on and so forth. It's about Pri Yisraelim. So do you see that in Tu B'Av? Do you see that connection? We'll have to speak about Shidduchim. I'll put it at the end of the Shem Hashem. But the point is that, do you see the sequence Hadvarim? Do you connect all the Yom Tovim? Do you see the season? Like when Chazal teach that they wanted to do Nissen, see, Klal Yisrael, B'Nissen Nigalu. What's Nissen? Nissen is when spring comes along and the sky and the sun and life smiles again. It looked like it was a dead season in the winter. All the energy went and conserved themselves in the ground, and now it comes about again, and it's a rebirth, rejuvenation, replenishing, and you get new life. So the Jewish nation starts also like the Levana every month. It renews itself, and reimburses, and it's like a rebirth again. It's a new haschala, a new beginning, a new start, fresh start, and so on. So it's like you have a second chance, but it's a new life. Yesterday's ihatzlocha, right? Yesterday's nishka bar mazel. Today things can change. This attitude, expressed itself at its best in the new season of spring, of shining, of smiling. The world is smiling to us, and it's giving us a new fruition. So it should have been Nisan is Pesach, Iyar is Pesach Sheni, Sivan is you have Yom Teshuos, Tammuz was supposed to be Rosh Hashanah, and Tisha B'Av is Yom Kippur, and 15th of Elul would have been Sukkot, and then we had to push it off because of the Chet HaEgel and all that. We weren't loyal and so on. Okay, it was the Eruv Rav, but we didn't speak up and so on. Why is there the same five prohibitions that's on Yom Kippur is the same five on, okay, you do have, you're not allowed to learn, but the point is, the same five, you're not allowed to express simcha, But the same five as Yom Kippur is the same five on Tisha B'Av. The five Vinuyim on Yom Kippur is I don't eat before operation, a procedure. You don't eat, right? But the Tisha B'Av, that's not the reason. It's Inuyim Mamish. I can't eat. It's the Meis Mutalafanov, the dead person in front of him. He doesn't have appetite to eat. It's not that he wants to cleanse himself. He doesn't eat. Why is that? Because Tisha B'Av, that was supposed to be Yom Kippur. So, if do you see that? Are you tuned in? That's what we need to Beis Hamikdash. We need to be. We're not so tuned in today. We don't see our deeds and our mood and our approach and our attitude. We don't see that connected to the daily life. We don't see that when I focus on something, I create that. And if see, Hashem always rains down the same hashpos tovis. It depends. Are you ready? Are you a kli machzik? Do you have the breadth and the length and the depth to create, or you have this narrowness and you don't, and nothing can come in. You have to expand yourself. You have to open up. You have to work. That's avodah shebelev. You got to work on your lave. And once you open up your character and refine your character with a lot of anova, make room for something else and somebody else, then the sports coming flowing a lot better. Do you see that connection? Do you see that it's all about connection? Do you see it's all about dvekas? And if you don't see that, that's the churban. So that's what we cry for that. And we try to get, and we say, Nachamu, Nachamu, Ami. So one of the ways we're talking about avodah shebelev tefillah. So you have this guy that comes to um, Reb Zilberstein, the Edom of Reb Elyashiv Zatzal. So he comes, this big, great rabbi, one of the greatest of all of the generation, not only this generation. And I was zeichet to be by him with my brother, Reb Elazar Baruch Bol Shlita from Egan Shir Torah, and he schlepped me with the shining countenance, his face. You can tell as a gutzkeit. It's so deep. It's so deep. You really feel connection. You sit down by such gedolim. I mean, it's like unbelievable, right? You walk away, you feel the Shechina Shruya B'neihem. You feel, by some people, you feel you're in the presence of greatness, of godliness. So a person comes over to him and he's like tearing and he's got this bag and he's speechless and he just heard a drasha from Reb Zilberstein and he wanted to connect and he just wanted to connect. And Shemayim, he's trying to connect to one of Hashem's closest people. So he goes to the rabbi, and he goes and he shows him the bag, and the rabbi opens the bag. He sees a siddur. Okay, a siddur is a siddur. Like, so what's the story behind it? Calm down, please tell me. And he sat him down, and he told him that he didn't have children for many years, 16 years. And they told him there's one hope in America, a specialist, some doctor out there. And he traveled, he paid a lot of money for the diagnosis, a lot of protection just to get to this doctor. And in any case, he finished the whole geschäft, and he was there for a few days, and finally comes to the conclusion, not you, not your wife will ever have children. It just can't be, It's mamish, she's barren. The child, I mean, just forget it. Don't even spend another dollar. You spend your whole. There's no point. So what should we do? Adopt. So they went to adopt a child from birth. The kid didn't even know who he's adopted. But the second he started to speak, he saw other guys have siblings. He says he wants a brother too. And they looked at each other. Be'ezus Hashem, he doesn't even know he's adopted, let alone an anach kid. It's not possible. So they tell him Bezrat Hashem, Bezrat Hashem, Bezrat Hashem. And finally, when he gets his siddur at 6 years old, he gets the siddur, the siddur suda, whatever they call the celebration. The parents come and you get your own first siddur, Chamash Moedik, your very own siddur, and he's clutching it and he's holding on and he's tearing. And the parents look at the child and they say, "Why are you crying?" He says, "Because finally I learned how to daven, and I have a siddur, and I'm going to daven. And finally, Hashem will listen to my tefillah, and I'm going to have a brother." They look at each other, they're tearing up. Halabai. 2 years later, this is 24, he tells them, 24 years later after marriage, and he says, we finally just had a baby boy. Natural birth, the boy's tefillah, the innocence, the pureness of a Yiddish child, Tenoikisha Beis Rabin, he davened, and Hashem listens. Don't sell yourself short. Tefillah always works, even if you don't see it now. Sometimes Hashem gives a little opening, a little window, and you can look in, and you can pierce in, and you can say, wow, tefillah works. So the this is Va'eschana. Hashem, when you daven, Hashem, please do whatever you need with my tefillah, if my prayer, if my beseeching you and mamish falling down, falling apart and crying out, Hashem, please, please, please give that to me, is against your will, or it won't end up well, please don't listen to my tefillah. If I'm ruining your plan for the world, please don't listen to my tefillah. But these tears never go for naught. Use it wherever you have to for somebody that really needs it. So I want to get to Kihi Chochmaschem Uvinaschem. Just a little thing. In Lvov, I gave a share, last week um, uh, oh, today I want to I forgot. I want to dedicate for our son Chaim Tzvi, Reb Chaim Tzvi, his birthday. So which is Metz Hashem on Shabbos. So we want to dedicate the share to Chaim Tzvi's birthday. Also for Refuah Shleima for Baruch Hashem Go a little procedure for our son that went through last night operation. Yochanan and Sarah Chaleya and Refuah Shleima. Yeah, the Ben Bechor, that's always the best, and we love you very much, and Baruch Hashem, everything is okay. It was a little procedure. What's it called? Um, no. Also for Refuah Shleima, Eliezer Ben Chava and our son's shvager, a boy of 13, 14, Aaron Moshe, I can't remember, Ben Nechaita, Refuah Shleima, Metz Hashem. Okay. So let me get another story about tefillah, the koyach of even somebody of a tzibur, a little story, interesting story. There was a father that was a great Gvir. The Kitza, he was very good friends with Rosh Kol in Minsk. And this is before the war, of course. This is probably over 100 years ago. And he was a very good friend and they were two Gvirim, and one was Rosh Kol, one was his partner in Tzedak and so on. The Kitza, he was Nifta young, and he left over Yosef with a lot of money. Finally, when all the Shavavnikids and all the bums and all the people find a lot of money, oh, there's a lot of money there, so let's invest in this. Oh, there's a lot of money, so they go to the Bach. All of a sudden, when you become, become rich, everybody wants to be a friend. All of a sudden, you have many relatives and friends that you never knew about, and they gave him a lot of coveted attention, and they schlepped him away from the Yiddish way. He didn't have a father that he loved so dearly. He was so connected to his father. He was Rosh Rishon, his model for everything, and now he lost that connection and he didn't know how to cope with it. And here the boys are giving him so much attention, and they besmirched Allah Rabbonim. They're all about money. It's about money. You're going to see they're going to come in Schnorrer. They really gave him such a anti, some type of pill in him that the second any rabbi came over to him, it's all about money, money, money. When his father's dear friend, the Rosh Kol, came over to him and he said, what's the matter? You're not coming to shul? What's going on? He was such a tight kind, a bacher. And he said, money. He said, me? I need the money. You know I don't need the money. I'm a multimillionaire. So he says, but no, you're all about, who told you? Who's instilled this garbage, this venom in you? What's going on with kids? So he went off the derech slowly, and it came Pesach. Everybody has to, Pesach. Say they made up already by the Levaya, he's going to be sort of your stepfather, and you'll come to him for the Yom Tovim. And here Pesach, he calls him to the side, say, "Are you coming?" No, we're going to some, I don't know where hotel we're going. Which hotel? This is a non-Jewish hotel. There's no, it's not kosher there. Nevelis, Trefus, and Pesach. Come on, what's, no, you don't want to hear money. You guys are all about money, money. I'll show you. Lamaisa, they felt so bad. So this Rosh Hakol sends a letter somehow to Eretz Yisrael, to Yerushalayim, to the koil that they sponsored. It was Koil Minsk, and they sponsored Koil Minsk, and they said, "Chebra, we're paying out your stipendia. Please daven for this bacher." And he said the name, Ben his mother, and they went to the koisel with the minyan, and they cried out to Hashem the whole evening. They cried and cried and cried. This was the night before B'dikas Chametz. They got this letter, and they went that night, and he sent out this telegram way before. But the point is that they got it. They ran to the Koisel of Pesach. He should come back to his mother, and this Rosh Hakol with it. She's going to stay for Pesach. And they cried and cried to Hashem, and the youngsters among them, "Who is this? We don't know. We just know that our money is dependent on." The guy says that this father was my partner in tzedakah, and he gave a big part in supporting your moisid, your koilel. And if his son is going to go to Tar B'Sra, a wayward son, so you're not going to get the money. You're going to lose. So their money was totally on. It was on the brink of Chas Hashem losing it, so they davened their hearts out. Rebbeinu Shalom, please, by all means. And guess what? In the middle of the night, he knocks on the door of his mother, and he wants to come in. She didn't let him in. It was a fancy house. They had these trisim, the metal trisim, like in Europe, and it was all locked. And he's banging. She wouldn't let him in. You got your bums out there. These terrible people. They're going to come and ransack this whole place. I don't trust you guys. You showed me that you don't you chose bandits and ganovim and no. So what did he do? He went around, climbed over the big wall, the gate, and he went to the grandmother's room. He climbed, he knocked on the window. She came and opened up. She sees Einikel. She was softer. And she says, what happened? He says, my mother doesn't let me in. She says, you got bandits. I don't know. I'm all alone here. I'm telling you, please, I want to do tshuva, come back. So she opens the window and he says, really? I left them. I ran away. They don't even know I'm here. So she goes to her daughter and she says, please let him in. He did tshuva. I'm telling you, he's got nobody. I looked out the window, there's nobody there. So the kid says, she lets him in and he cries. He wants to come back. He left them. What happened? He says his father came in a cholam and his father was crying. He said, my lovely son, my only son, I'm up in Shemayim. You're killing me. You're killing me. Machs mazach. You're killing me over there. I love you so much. Please, why are you letting me down? Who are these boys for you? What are they doing for you? Nothing. They're not helping you out. They're just schlepping you away. They're evil people. Leave them alone, please. Come back. I need you in this world. You're my partner. I left you with so much money. I need you to do my tzedakahs. I need you to save people. You should be the salvage, the shining stone on the mountain for everybody, that all the needy people. You're a yasin. You know what it is. Help the other yisayimim. Help those almanas. Your mother's almana. You have to be my extension over here. I have to live through you. And you're not letting me live through you. You're cutting me off. You're killing me. And he cried, and his son begged him, Tati, you left me alone. Oh, no, I'm with you. I'm living. You'll feel me. But please, please don't come back. Come back. And he says, of course, he cried. He left them. He did tshuva, came back. That's the tefillas of people. But you got to really mean it. So here's the question. Comes Esav. Esav, vayizak zoka gedoyle umore ad moed. And 2 tiers, so 2 churbanos of 2 Beis Hamikdashin. And if he would have done the third, we tiered the Demois, close. So it's like 2.5, whatever. He didn't make the third one, so How many tears did we spill, the Jewish nation? We're crying and crying, Tzoros Tzedus every second, every day. There's not one day that's not a Tisha B'Av. There's not one day in the Jewish calendar that's not a Tisha B'Av, not worthy of a Tisha B'Av. Now Chazal, they concised it down, but because you can't mourn the whole day, you can't be depressed the whole day. So you take 5, 10, 15 minutes a day, and you say this is the few minutes designated, the 3 weeks of the day. So sort of the 9 days, the Shavuot Shechalbei, the week that Tisha B'Av, there's the day, the ninth of itself, and you concise it, and you concise, and you say no, it's all this is the framework here. You can't just wail and cry and the whole day. You can't be bitter the whole day. You can't function. So we don't have enough tears. Our tears outdid Esav by millions of times, by trillions of times by now. The teretz is min b'minoi. If you have bottle b'shishim, min b'minoi is not bottle. If you take you remember the Rav Kahneman Zatzal, the Ponevezh Rav, he came out of South Africa, South America. I don't remember where it was, but he came to this big gevir. This guy was like top of the gevir, and he walks into him and he offers him a drink, and he's down to business. The first second he says, "I need $100,000." In those times, it's like 100 million today, so to speak. He has to build a whole mountain with a bunch of housing for Almonis and Yisayimim, and a institute for Yisayimim, institute for Yisayimais, and he needs the yeshiva, he needs dormitories, he needs housing for poor people, like a whole city, a small town he has to build. He needs a Velta money, and I heard that you have it. And in any case, so this person says, "Well, I don't understand. What kind of rabbi is that?" People come to me, I give them $500. That's a shein in the sina. I give them $1,000. And the most I ever gave, I don't know, I don't know, 2,000, three. Like I gave once in my life 5,000. But these are the greatest rabbanim of yesteryear. They came, they stayed by me for a few days. Nobody ever dared mention a word about money. They spoke about kiyum yahadis, sustaining the Jewish nation, to nourish the Jewish nation, to build it up, to support it. And they didn't mention money. You walk in, the first sentence, I need $100,000. So the Ponevezh Rav, sorry. So the Ponevezh Rav says, they shrine Kim Yahadis, they say Kim Yahadis, sustaining the Jewish nation, but they mean in geld, they mean money. I speak about money. I speak money, dollars, but I mean Kim Yahadis. And I'm not shy of that. I'm not ashamed of that. And he was so convincing, like nobody else. And the guy gave him the money. That's how the story goes. If you scream to Esav and he's shreit, trying to fool his father, as if he's a great tzaddik, he means money. He wants the birchas shemayim mitol, birchas toimir vetz. He wants it all. Why? Because if you don't have all the brachas, then he needs fulfillment, not only money. He wants everything, the whole 9 yards. But it's all about money and power, and nothing about kavod shemaim, nothing about connection. He says when the Israeli comes to America and to Los Angeles, and his big tycoon, and in Beverly Hills, wherever I was never there, I don't know. But the point is that he's got a guard, and the guard is standing. Hey, what do you think you're going? Like, who do you? So he says, I came here to ask for nadava, a little donation. So the guy says, are you out of your mind? It's 10 o'clock at night. My chef is sleeping already. He says, Chas v'shalom, don't wake him up. No, 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 by no means. Just bring me his pants, the one that has the wallet. That's all I need. I don't need him. I need his wallet. Just give me the wallet. And then Shalom Al Yisrael. Never Chas v'shalom. Gezel Shady accused me. The point is, it's all about the money. Min b'minoi. If when we daven, we want good children and we want choshev edemis. I said this many times. There was a guy that came into yeshiva, big veer, and he gives a tremendous donation, like Ma'alu Ma'aver, and Rashi says, okay, how can I be beneficial? He says, you know what I mean? I need your best bacha. She says, for that price. So he goes to the best bacha. You trust me. I'm not about money. He gives him the best bacha, and he takes the bacha with him, and he brings him to his größer capital city, and he comes to shul and a chvalitzer. This is my Edom, and he's showing off. And okay, Yom Tov is over, and he gives him one of his houses, a tremendous house with all avodim and mishorsim. And he has a cook. This guy is a cook. This guy is the driver. This guy is the guard. This guy is the manager. This guy is the handyman. He's got everything. He has to do nothing. He's got this big oitzas forum at the time when nobody had oitzas forum, and he's got bigger than any oitzas forum in any yeshiva and any whatever. And he sits in land and it's mamish. And he comes a half a year later by Pesach, and he says he brings him Yom Tov. Now he comes to the shver to daven, and he comes to the shul and the shver again. And he asks him, what about a vort, a tnoim? When you're rushing, was it nicht good? No, he says, very good. I can't complain. 3 meals a day. There's always coffee and tea and cake and fruits and everything. Everything is more the comfort of them. And then comes next sukkahs. He says, what about a shidduch? I mean, you called me. We're not going to have a vort and this. He says, "What are you rushing me? What? So no, this is very good. So what's the what's him? No, I just want to know. I'm a young guy. I'm just The kids, after a while, after every Yom Tov, he comes and he says, I don't understand. I don't understand. There's already 2 years, and you didn't even meet. I never met your daughter. He says he doesn't even have a daughter. He said, what kind of? He said, what's gated on you? Nafshki choshka batoyre. You want to sit in land, so you're my Adam. I have to have a daughter. I'm giving you not. I'm paying everything. I just need an Adam. If the whole thing, I want good children. For my covet, not quite Shemaim, not connecting to Shemaim. I'm missing the connection. It's geguf b'loy neshama. You're missing the nitzchias part of it. So if you're crying and crying and crying, but ultimately you want power and you want covet and you want, so that's mimbamina. It's Esav. It's just Esav coded in a Jew in Yaakov. But we go nachamu ami. What's the nechama? Anybody that falls, sometimes you fall. You have this but sometimes you fall. When a person falls, he falls, and that's it. When Hashem takes that fall and redirects it and makes a galgal achizer, so when you're down, you're so rock bottom. It could only get better from now. It could only go upwards. And you get back to your original place through tshuva, mi'ahava. You even get back in a better place than before. When a person hurts somebody else, and you feel that oynish, and you feel that it's not, when you get to your senses, it's not oynish, it's trying to correct you, so you should get back to yourself, but your better self, and then you get the Yeshua, and then you see the salvation. That's a whole different story. So Nachamu Ami. Okay, the point of Nachamu Ami is they fell down, but they never exercised. Now they go to rehabilitation and they work out the muscles first of the hand to be able to hold a crutch, to be able to hold something, to wield the wheelchair, or whatever it is, and you build up your upper muscles and you risk and you gripple, and now you can, and then you start working on your lower parts and the feet, the muscles, the legs, and so on. And then a person gets into this mode of health, consciousness, and then they say, 1 second, but the outer body doesn't really do it. You got to work on the psyche too. You have to know how to get along with people and not to get meshuga over every little thing. You have to take it with strides. Take it over a grain of salt. take it easy. It's not the end of the world. He never thought about you, Bichlal. You're not that important that everything is around you. Everybody's thinking about themselves. They're trying to survive. They're trying to win a few points here and there, and see the bigger picture and going deeper. And you see, and you can start living emotionally well balanced, not only physically, and then you go to the spiritually well balanced, and you become a much greater person. So the crying itself, the breakdown, that the Tisha B'Av woke you up, and it became Nachamu, Nachmami in the pain, with pain. You learned how to do away with the suffering. Pain is unavoidable many times, but suffering is. Your attitude changed. And when you change your attitude, it's Nachem Ami, you start practicing, rehabilitating, and Zoiche V'Roi B'Vinyasa, right there, right then. So where's the breaking moment? So let's go. How long? Oh, it's so late. Okay, let me give a story, maybe two. We'll see. There was a guy that sat there was a like a reunion type of simcha. The guy, people want to do a mitzvah. He's making a simcha. He's from out of town, but he was once a classmate. So the kids said they came von aller Seiten. They traveled just to be mechazik, all classmates from yesteryear, and this is just decades ago, and they all came and participated. And the chevra, and there was a table, extended table. They took two tables together, and it's 10 and 10, and they got this 20 chevra, on this big table together. And there was one guy that next to him was empty seat, and one guy walks in, and he didn't want the guy sitting next to him, like a negative feeling type of thing. What is he doing? But you're like, wow, I don't want him to come here. Now, what did he do to you? He did nothing. It's like you're much better off than him physically, but spiritually, he's better off than you. It makes you feel uncomfortable. So what did he do? He took the challah, the roll, and he tore it apart, and as if broken up, somebody started already. And he took some salad, tahina, whatever, and he put it on the plate, and took that napkin and schlepped it, like munched it, and the guy comes over and he says, it's taken. And the guy looks around, he eyes everybody. Hey, he was like a bully, so nobody said anything. He said, sorry, place is taken. Don't you see? Look. So that guy sits down at another table, knowing nobody over there, very shy person, zerbrochen, zerstochen. In life, nothing went for him. So his self-confidence is practically down to zero. And any little thing will break him. And the guy sits down and he sees for the next half hour, nobody sat down there. And they served the first course, and then they're going on to seconds, and then the soup, and the entree, and the soup, and he sees nobody sits down, and he can't connect to those people. Those people, I don't know, the fry, I don't know what it was, but it was something he couldn't connect. Now, again, anybody like us, we would connect with anybody, but he had a hard time. He had it very hard in life. So he's down and out, and he musters up the courage, and he comes over. He sees, I seen this past half hour, nobody sat down. Maybe the guy left, didn't come back. Can I sit down? And this guy starts belittling him, rattling him. Hey, you're so annoying. Don't you see? Nobody wants to be your friend. Nobody wants you to sit next to them. And the kid said to him, "Azoy geziddelt," he embarrassed him, barabim. Nobody's your friend. And he started reflecting. True, nobody's my friend, and I can't make it in life. And then the kid said he was so zerbrochen and distraught. He walked away, left, and he cried his way home. But in any case, he was so zerbrochen that killed him. He finally he thought he's going back to his friends, and they're going to look at him. Nobody looked at him, and nobody said a word. Who's going to start it with this bully? Nobody wanted to have to. I didn't need no drama in my life. I don't need him to ruin my business and whatever. I don't need him to badmouth it. So they just kept quiet. They cringed, but this guy that embarrassed his friend, he became paralyzed. His wife got cancer, Yena Machla, Loylein. His oldest son, for no reason, just got divorced. The wife left him. Everything went crazy. And he goes to the rabbi and he says, Rebbe, what happened? How could it be? He says, what do you mean? He says that he just came out of rehab. They schlepped him here with a special van because he's afraid that everything is, he's losing everything. And he wants to stop it. He doesn't know it. He hit rock bottom. So the rabbi says, did you do something? He said, not that I can recall. He says, no, it doesn't happen by itself. That means he hurt somebody. And he thought, and he said, Taka, that time, right before it happened, all three things at once. He embarrassed a former classmate from decades ago. And so she says, go ask him, Mechila. I don't know where to find him. Could say he did research and he found out the organizers who have invited him to this event, and he tracked him down. It turns out that he's not even that place. He goes to that place and that apartment. It turns out that guy, the wife, divorced him. He's such a loser. His wife divorced him. Where can I find your ex-husband? And she says, I don't know, but apparently that's where he used to hang out by those Stieblach. Kitzi goes to the Stier, finds that he's collecting, and he's embarrassed, sitting there like total oitzazich. He's not. His eyes are spaced out. He's sitting there distraught, zerbrochen, zerstochen. It's terrible. So he says hello. He wants to ask Mechila. He's in a wheelchair. And the guy says, get out of here. You Rotzeach, you Posheya, you're a murderous, cruel, evil person. And he says, look, he's a cripple. He's totally paralyzed. On one side, he can't even walk. He can't move. And he barely made it. He would help it. And he says his wife has yet a machla. And his son got divorced. And he's missing a. He says that you got it off easy. He says his wife divorced him because he a semi-nervous breakdown. Not exactly, but he totally, totally fell apart. And she didn't want to have to do with such a loser. He lost his job, and his wife left him, and he has to sit with these bushes collecting 5 pennies. He said, in such a shy person, he'd rather die from hunger, from schnorring one shekel from somebody. And that's what it made him do. He's homeless because his wife left him, but she's what, he's going to throw her out from the apartment. So she's in the apartment. He's sitting here by the Stieblach, sleeping on the bench. I should be moichel. Of course I'm not moichel. The kids say, not moichel, not moichel. He tells him his matzah. The guy couldn't care less. So he goes to a rabbi, and the rabbi says you have to go to a gadol. And he went to a gadol. Maybe it was Rabbi Zilberstein. I can't remember. I think it was. But so Rabbi Zilberstein called the guy down, and the guy comes over to him, and he come to him, and he comes over, and he says, in Shemayim, it's to be mavater. He says, what mavater? He's homeless, familyless, and spiritualist, emotionless, garnished. He's like a dead dog. So Reb Zilberstein tells him, look, first thing is, let's in Shemayim. If you're mavater for somebody else, I guarantee you the best chelik in Olam Haba, because it's very painful, and you won't answer back with nekama. I guarantee you'll sit with any gadol you'll ever want. That you pick the gadol, the officer, whoever you want. I guarantee you'll sit and go, no, that's a different story. That's under the Zach. Kapor in this world, he didn't have a good world, but at least the next world. He says, but how is he going to support himself? And now he has to pay alimony and try to kids geschäft where he doesn't have where to live. Rent costs a few thousand shekel a month. Kids, how much do you need for everything and to put yourself back on the feet? He says 10,000 shekel. So if I get you, because that guy's paralyzed, his wife's cancer, going through, testing and all that stuff, and nobody's working, they don't have a penny to. So if I shaft you, yeah. So Rav Zilberstein made a few phone calls, and he shafted the money every month between an organization and a gvir. Every month in your bank account, you're going to get 10,000 shekel. And he says, now let's be moichelim. So he said, I need a little chizuk. Reb Zilberstein called him up every day for a few days, and after a few days, he says, okay, he calmed down, and he has it in him, within him to give to mechila, and he said, mochelach, mochelach, mochelach 3 times, and he was moichelim. And guess what happened? This guy, the therapy started to work, and he, with mamish days, he felt stronger, and all of a sudden he feels his fingers, his feet, and hands, and within a few weeks, he was almost walking like before. Not exactly, but totally functional. His wife, the cancer went away, and Baruch Hashem, and his son remarried. He didn't have any children, so he remarried, and she didn't want to hear of going back. He remarried a very good shidduch, and everything is fine. This guy's wife, the guy that was hurt, found out that it's not her husband. That's the lo yitzluch. It's the years of torture he endured in yeshiva times, and they created a loser out of a good edela person. She found out that it's sicha that was done to her husband. She felt bad for him. She realized that it's not him; it's the sviv around him that murdered him years ago, and now again. So she felt bad, and she called him back, please come back. So he had 10,000 shekel every month without paying extra, not for apartment, because she took him back to the apartment that they had originally, and everything went gewaldig. The Einish was a wake up to come back full circle. So sometimes a person says, what, my generation? No, your generation is built on many generations. It's you were pushed down, sort of. This generation is pushing down. But Galgal Achoiz, you came back through the pain and suffering that the Jews endured so many years. We're coming back, and boy, and we're fighting the fight of life, and hopefully we'll be zoicha that Mashiach should find it us worthy of the generation to salvage and to save. Mhm. It's too late for another story. We're gonna have to the next story at a different time, but because I want to get to the tuba of. So let's go on to Hichoch Maschem Uvinaschem for a second. This is a cute story, and it's something to say over. So you have a guy, uh, a aferist, a swindler, a swindler, and a lawyer. There's the foreign workers, they come from, I don't know, the Philippines, wherever they come from, or Africa, and they work and bekitza. And it turns out that, but you take a worker, it's unofficial, it's all of this. So there's a lady that her husband, all of a sudden, they had a boy and a girl, and they grew up. They married them off, and everything is fine. Now they're living like husband and wife, like again, like chassan and kala and everything. And Bekitza, the husband, got sick all of a sudden, Yana Machla, and she wanted to do something worthwhile. So she thought, my kids are married, and Baruch Hashem, everything is more or less fine, and I want to do something for a schus for my husband. So she went and she volunteered for Bika Cholim. Yeah, many people, chas v'sholom, have sick children in the hospital, and during the day, one of the parents sit with the child. They change and shifts, but at night they're so they have other children at home. They're exhausted. So big chesed, people volunteer. They can do it, and they sit with the child, watch the numbers, to have somebody there 24/7. So she volunteered for schus of husband, but l'choyer her tefillas and her ma'asim tovim didn't help. That's what she thought, because her husband passed away. So she thought, I'm not cheshbonis with the Rebbeinu Shloim. She's a mammon. She believes in Hashem, and if you don't believe, yeah. So the point is that she said, I'm continuing with the chesed. No, 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 by all means, no, count me in. You need the rotation. I'm in, just don't cross me off. I'm not making conditions with the Rebbeinu Shalom. I'm continuing. Okay. She gets a letter in the mail. This Schwindler lawyer sends her that in 2 weeks she has a hearing in court. Avasaroif, what happened? What do you mean? You had what is it called? Ovdim Zarim, farm work by you for 10 years, and birth, whatever. You didn't compensate. You owe thousands of shkolim, and you're in trouble. Mom is terrible. She doesn't chop. She never had the money to hire any work out from outside. She never had a farm work in a house, and even before Pesach. She had only 2 kids. What are you talking? Small apartment, everything was fine, nice and dandy. What are you talking about? So her friend calls up, and she's in total shock. And her friend says, what's with your voice? You're all shaken up. I just opened the letter from the mail. They're accusing me of avodah zarah. I'm just kidding. Ovdim zarim. So the lady says, you didn't have any outside help. I know they're accusing me, but it's my name. So she says, I'm coming to testify for you. God, what kind of nonsense is that? That's vicious. That's mamish cruelty. Accusing you of something you had no shaykhs to. What kind of compensation of tens of thousands of shkolah? What are you talking about? So, Shai, now the night before, it was, in the morning, 9 o'clock, she has to be in the court in Tel Aviv. And the night before, they call her and they say, I'm sorry for the last minute. Usually we give you notice a day or two before, but just the person just canceled. She didn't show up. We need somebody to run emergency to the thing. And she says, she runs there. She calls a friend. I won't be by my house. We won't go together to the court because I'm in the hospital. What happened? She says, I'm doing my volunteer. What kind of volunteer? Tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock sharp. You're going to be up the whole night. How are you going to function? She said, look, the Rebbeinu Shalom threw this chesed at me. He knows I have a court case. I took it. So you go to the court. I'll take a bus to the court. 8:30, we made up that you're going to change. They're going to take me over. 8:30, I'm going to go take the 8:31 bus, and I'll make it there for 9 o'clock, and we'll meet in front of the court. The lady says, you out of your mind? You're overdoing it, don't you think? She says, I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and he'll take care of me. Shai, if you have such a muna, no problem. Tomorrow morning, in the morning, 8:30, the lady comes up, the mother of the child, and she says, thank you, the last minute, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. My son will take you back to Bnei Brak. Like he did many times. He brought me in. So she says, no, I'm not going to Bnei Brak. Where are you going? You're going to a court case. Tel Aviv. What's in Tel Aviv? So she says the whole what that's ludicrous. So she calls up her son. She says, please take it to Tel Aviv. What happened? Court case. No problem. She goes to the car and her son says, court case? You have a court? Who's taking you to court? I don't know, some lawyer. And the son is a chitri yeshiva guy. Yeah, this guy and he's learning Choshen Mishpat, and he says, you know what? I'm coming with the court. I'm coming. So she tells my friend, I told her to go to, he says, I'm coming in. So here's the thing. He says, they can't fight my Gemara Cup. I learned Choshen Mishpat. Nishvat. Now I know why. I thought I'm not using it. I'm no dying. But guess what? Just let me run. I'm going in. You're staying outside. Why? Listen to me. Just follow me. He sent me a shliach here. I'm going to practice my Choshen Mishpat to the umph level right now. He goes into the court. He says, your friend that's coming with you, she comes in when I call her, not a second before. Then you stay far away, and then I'm going to call you in, but not a second before. Shine. He walks in, 9 o'clock. Where's the... I'm here on behalf of this lady. What do you mean your behalf? She has to show up. You're the lawyer? Well, you can say I'm a lawyer, yeah. But she has, the plaintiff had... No. She's coming. She's, the bus traffic, whatever. She's coming, and don't worry. Literally in 5 minutes, she'll be here. And he sort of stays on the phone, and he says, yeah, look, I'm in touch with her, by text and whatever. And he calls her in, and not the lady herself, her friend comes in 5 minutes later after the accuser, the lawyer accused her of, and she walks in, and he says, here's the lady. See, she came in. So the lawyer says, the judge says, so you can ask, it's now your turn. He says, you sure you recognize her? And she says, of course, I worked for 10 years. I was there for 10 years. She didn't compensate me. So you worked for 10 years? Yeah. This is the lady. He finishes. He says, 1 second, I've got another witness to come in. And he calls the lady that was accused, and he calls her in, and he says, could you give me your Tudat Zehut? Yeah? And he says, what's her name? This is the name. So you just told me, you and the lawyer told me that this is the lady that you worked for 10 years, right? You lied. This lady never, that's not her name. Here's the lady with the two dots. That's the name you're accusing. The kids, the judge throughout the whole court case punished the guy, gave him a big knas and so on, and compensation, moral compensation for this almana. Ki chochmaschem uvinaschem. It's just a little cute thing. It's not the chochmaschem uvinaschem. It's when people show that they're the exemplary nation, and all the other nations says, "Please teach me. I want to be like you. I want to have the Abba v'Achva v'Reis. I want to know how to function amidst the pain, amongst a nation when everybody is different, different shades and colors and shapes, and different attitudes and different of gratitude and different approaches to the ultimate connection with Hashem." So now I'm going to go back to. We'll have to speak about it at a different time. I see time is so late. I want to go back to Tu B'Av is Shidduchim. Lo Yom Tov Yisrael Kechemishas, like Tu B'Av and Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur and Tu B'Av. A different time we'll have to speak about what's the have over there, the non-judgmental aspects of it. I just wanted two cute stories. This is so you have, yeah, maybe three. We'll see. So you have a guy with that finds 100,000 shekel. He went to some lobby in Tel Aviv. He needed a toilet, and he came in and asked, "Where's the toilet here?" And they showed him. He goes to the toilet. In the toilet, there's a bag, a regular, almost see-through, Israeli bags for shopping. He says, I guess and he sees his envelope there, so he picks it up, and it's not garbage, and the envelope is open. And there's the shekel with the like the thing around it, and it says it's 100 like 100,000. That seems like 100,000 shekel, but he didn't know exactly what it's this much. So he goes to the front desk and he tells the receptionist that he just found money, but if somebody, there's no name, there's no sim and nothing, and if somebody, here's my number, if somebody, he didn't know what to do. So he waits for a call. Nobody called. 2 weeks, he goes to the rabbi. He says, "Rabbi, nobody called. I found 100. I went home. I counted 100,000 shekel." And he says, "Rebbe, maybe it's a sign from Shemayim because he has a daughter in Shidduchim for a while. Nobody reads his matzia. Nobody offers any Shidduchim because everybody knows he's a kaptz. He doesn't have money, so he doesn't have money for nothing. And it comes from the literature place where they pay out the Kala pays out most, if not all, the expenses that like a mole, you want it, a good shidduch for your daughter, you got to pay. So he said, I don't have a penny, but now already 100, I have something to work with, and maybe Hashem's sending to me, so maybe, I'll tell the Shatchanim that I have what to pay, and then, so the rabbi says, that sounds perfect, but I have a feeling that Hashem is giving you a tremendous nisoyin. I mean, $100,000 after all is not paying for a dita. It's paying for the wedding. It's paying for the aufruf and the brides, whatever. But it's shlach al Hashem Yehovcha. Hashem, if he wants, he could have put $1 million there, not $30,000 there. So my gut feeling, if again you can do whatever you want, my gut feeling is it's in the sign from Hashem. Don't rush. Wait, maybe somebody will still call. And guess what? Within a few days later, a Gvir calls up. It turns out he's a great Gvir from Tel Aviv, a tremendous Gvir. And he didn't even realize he lost $100,000 because he has so much more. The 100,000, 100,000 shekel for him was almost nothing. So, but but he did realize somehow because he was short this 100,000 shekel. He says, "What do you mean? I had that. What happened to 100?" And he tracked down. 1 second, I had a meeting over there, and I went to the, and he calls up the hotel. Did anybody find any money? They said, yeah. In fact, somebody did, and here's his number. And he calls them up, and they meet up, and the guy says, "Wow, in today's Tel Aviv world of hustling and bustling, people find." And I look at you. You look like what are you, like a koil? He says, "I'm a rebbe." And he says, and you didn't keep the money? Halachically, you could keep it. I mean, I went to yeshiva. I know halacha. You could keep it 1,000. Why did you decide to give your number? And this is weeks later, and you still. So he says, please take, I don't know, take 50. No, what? Okay, please 30. No, I'm not taking my mitzvah. He's not, you gotta be kidding me. He's not, he doesn't want to hear of it. So he sees the guy is so adamant. So, okay, he's not going to push it. So he says, where do you have such chinuch from? So he says, my mother taught me. What do you mean? You don't, B'Hashem. It's a, it's Hashem gives it, not only for. Okay, okay, wow, that's. So what do you do? You said you're a Rebbe, you have a mishpach, yeah, and what? And it turns out he has a daughter in Shidduchim. He says, one second, I have a son in Shidduchim. I mean, I have enough money for all of us and many more people. So money's not, but such good chinuch. Is your daughter like you? He says, my daughter like me, 1,000 times better. I'm embarrassed. I have no idea why I have such a schus to have such a daughter. He says, look, I'm trying to, you're intriguing me. I'm trying, I'm starting to work up a interest over here, appetit. What do you say? Why don't we meet? Come to my house. Bring your mishpacha to my mishpacha. I want to show my kids an example of good chinuch, of Yiras Shamayim, of simcha. So they met up, and his wife says, "Well, this girl, I spoke to her. She's just amazing. Mom said, Jim, I don't know all our rich friends. They have nothing. They're spoiled brats. I mean, this is like unbelievable. I mean, it's a dream of a shidduch." And he says, "Would you mind if they meet? So they met and they liked each other. And it was going to Mazel Tov. So they made a l'chaim, called some family and friends, and they sat down, to work out the money things. He says, "Look, you know, I'm in business. I can be sometimes stubborn. And here's one of them. You didn't want to come halfway. You didn't want to compromise when I wanted to give you 30,000 shekel. So now here's the deal. Now we're even, Steven. We're flattened the playing field. I'm not accepting that one shekel out of your pocket. That means the Vort, the Tanoim, the Chasana, the whole 9 yards, the Dira, with the furniture and the electrical appliances, every Hakel, Bakel, Mikkel, everything is on me. Shabbos Sheva Brachas, which the Kala is supposed to pay, I'm paying it out. You don't want to take money from me? I'm not taking one penny from you. Bekitza, he gave back 100,000 shekel. He gained millions of dollars. That's if you have a Munah Bashem and you have a breitkeit, not a narrow-mindedness, so you go out and you have a true tuba of. Let me just. It's late. Let me get. It's already an hour, but let me go another story, another two stories, and there was a this for shidduch for tuba of. There was a bocher on a bus. And he's sitting, he's riding home, I don't know, some intercity bus, and he hears the two guys right behind him. They were talking about, oh, he's getting married in a few days, literally in 3 days. And he would so badly want to get a bracha from this gadol, but how can he get in? There's hundreds of people standing there, and you can wait for hours and not making in, and the next day, and people come hours before wait. I don't have no time and the patience. There's no way. If Hashem would listen to his prayers and fulfill his dreams of somehow having some connection of a guy that can get him in without waiting on the line for many hours or days, that would be so brilliant. That would be so amazing. And this guy says, "Wow, he wants to get into this gadol. My uncle." My parent, one of my parents' younger siblings, is a Aiden by this gadol. And and he says, I could call up my uncle, ask him for a present for my wedding. And I'm sure he would do that to get this bacher in. But why should he get him before this? Maybe there's many other chasanim, and they're not going to get him because I don't know. It's not. Who knows? Who says it's the right thing to do? I don't know. and it's not even my business. I was airdropping to listen to his conversation. So the guy says, he's eigentlich kaza, such a grace tzaddik. All of a sudden became so righteous and yosher and yashers. If Hashem, you can be the conduit, you can be the shliach. Through you become the dua toiva chesed for chassid. So he says, Rebbeinu Shloim, he's also chassid. He's getting married in 3 days. Consider this. I'm going to go out of my way and, put my reputation. I don't know. So he turns around and he tells the bocher, "I'm sorry, I overheard. Who was it? Was you? You? One of you two was speaking now. Yeah, yeah. It was. You said you want to get the bracha. I can't promise, but I can try. My uncles are aided by this gadol, and maybe I can ask him a favor." Because I'm getting married in 3 days too, and I'm going to ask him for wedding favor. He doesn't have money, but maybe he can do me this favor. Shane. So the guy says, "You're sure you're gonna?" He said, "I'm going to try." He takes his phone, calls up his uncle. Baruch Hashem, his uncle answers. He says, "Mazel tov on your chassan and mitzvah Shem b'shoder." He says, "Could you give me a present, but it's not money?" He says, "What is?" So Nunu, speak up. So he says, "I'm sitting here on a bus, and there's a bacha speaking that a dream of his to get a bracha by this gadol, but there's no way of him making it in. But could you do me a favor for me? You do me this favor, and it'll be for the schus of my wedding. I'm helping somebody out, and you'll be the shlich of the Rebbeinu Shalom. It'll be schus for me for my wedding that I'm helping somebody." So he says, "Look, I can't, just, I'm no big knaka here, but I'll tell you one thing. If I'm going to be there tomorrow at lunchtime, if he comes at this time, let him call me on my phone, and I'll rush him in, usher him in, and I'll get him a bracha." Sure. The guy comes and the guy, sure. The guy thanks him profusely, and he says, what do you mean? You're also getting married 3 days? Where are you getting married?" He says, "I'm getting married in Petach Tikva in some hall. I forgot the name." And that guy says, "I'm also getting married in Petach Tikva in that hall." So the guy says, "There's probably two halls, like in Bnei Brak. There's many such places in Bnei Brak. Not many, there are a few buildings that have a few halls, what's it called? Concurrent halls in the same." Shine. He's sitting there. He's all blas. He's totally melted. He says, "Oya broch, oya broch, oya broch." So he can't wait to get off. He gets off the bus and a few stops after that. And he calls up his father. He says, "Oh, Tata, we're in trouble." He says, "What?" Because he says, "That Bach has no idea there's no two halls in Petach Tikva, in that place. I know because I went down with you to that hall. It's a cheap hall. It's a very good hall. And that's what people, they go for the price and good convenience and good extra." He says, "Tati, there's a guy getting married the same night as us in the wedding, in that very hall. And we know there's no two halls there. Rebbeinu Shalom, that's in the evening. Tomorrow morning, they try to call. Nobody answers. They took a bus. They traveled to Petach Tikva, and they went to the guy and they said, "How you talking? My son was in the bus yesterday, last night. The guy's getting married." He says, "What's your name?" He says, and he looks, "No, yeah, Taka, that guy's getting married. But we ordered this a half a year ago already, maybe more, over half a year ago." He says, he looks, "Yeah, I see your name, but you didn't put a down payment. In Israel, everybody puts a down payment." He said, "I didn't put a down payment." "No, you didn't. I did." "Oh, I thought I did." The kids said they called up Askonim, and Askin had a partner, a Gvir, that he had some pull, and they found, with this pull, they found another hall, literally a few blocks away. And the Gvir did a chesed. He says, "Tell the Askin, you can always count me achnosas kala." He did a deal with the Rebbeinu Shalom. So he said any other expenses above what he was going to give, and he added on. Everybody has invitations already. So they had bus shuttling from that hall to that hall. There was better parking. They brought in, the whole, the catering, and they turned that place into gold, that through the Skavir for that night, and everything was in the most beautiful, beautiful condition. If he wouldn't do a chesed for that guy, he would come that night to the chasana, two chasanim, two kalas, and he without a down payment, there would be deaf ears. All Nebuch would be a tragedy, and for a whole lifetime. And here, the fact that he tried to go out of his way for him, and he heard this, see something, say something, hear something, say something. He called his uncle, tried to arrange a chesed for him, and that paid back big time. That's true tuba of. That's Nachamu Ami. Okay, now one last story, which is Serais the Hearts. Serais the Hearts. There was a kid in camp. What's it called? Not in camp, in the dormitory in yeshiva. He lived in some moshav, whatever, from a guy, and there was no program for Hamish for yeshivish, so he had to go out to learn to in a yeshiva, and yeshiva had a dormitory. He was 14 years old. The problem this boy had was his bladder was weak. I don't know what it was. He's plus sleeping so deep. He had no trauma, no abuse, none of all that. But he wetted his bed. He made in his bed at night, and he was petrified. So he comes to yeshiva, and he's sleeping in the room with other bachrim. And the first night he can't fall asleep. He's so afraid to fall asleep. He'll make in his bed, and Mayoimru, the new people. And he's a shy person in general, and to get into that yeshiva, and that yeshiva was very difficult to get in. But he was he was a genius, a brilliant 14-year-old. And when the yeshiva heard him, they gave him a bchina. I mean, he flying colors. I mean, he passed like no problem, right? So it was a gem. Now it was a privilege to have such a bach in yeshiva, but if all the boys will find out that he makes in his bed in the stench, who's going to want to be with him? Terribly ashamed that he was a bashful person in general. So the first night he doesn't sleep, comes the next morning, he's like just fallen asleep by the shear, by davening. It looked awful. And the Rebbe thinks that what kind of disrespect? What does it mean? Why do you fall asleep? The kids, people started again. The second day he didn't sleep. So he's after 48 hours, he's collapsing, he's falling apart. So the third night already, he couldn't hold himself back. And he fell asleep in such a deep sleep. And little, I mean, as faith has it, it's Chazoi B'macht. He was a mabul. That bed was soaked. You have the Israeli mattresses, that sponge. It was soaked. So I don't know, a liter of water. I don't know. And he gets up and just about to jump out of bed, dreadful. And he's hoping above every hope that nobody wakes up so he can somehow deal with it. And the second he tries to get up, another boy gets up and he says, "That's it. I'm done. I'm doomed." And the boy gets up and the boy goes to the toilet and he puts on the light. Every room had a toilet. He puts on the light. And then when he comes out, the light was still on before he closed it. And he sees that this boy is up. For a second, he blinked. He said, "What are you doing up after 12? You in yeshiva, you walk around sleepwalking. You should really get some sleep." And he said it out of all, concern. And he says, "What happened to you?" And he's shivering, he's freezing from the all make and all. And the guy goes over, closes, but don't come close. He's afraid he's going to smell it. No, no. He says, "What happened?" No, and he comes to his bed. He wants to sit. "Don't sit down." He says, "Why? What happened?" "I'm calling Atzala. You look terrible. You all pale and shivering." He says, "Please don't call Atzala. It's all right." "No, no, no. You have to tell me because if not, I'm calling. I can't. Achrayus." So he tells him, "I made in my bed, and I have this thing, and I don't know what to do, and that's why I didn't sleep." And he whispers that, in 2 minutes, the whole thing. And the guy says, "It can happen to anybody. It's not your fault. Don't blame yourself. It's absolutely okay. It's perfect. Just leave it up to me. You go to the shower yourself, take a fresh pair of clothing. I'll take care of the rest. Nobody will ever find it. It's our secret between me and you." And he felt that the boy was so sincere, such a kind, golden hearts. So he goes to the shower. He schleps up all the bed set, puts it in a garbage bag, hides it somewhere back somewhere. Now, there's nothing he can do with the mattress. So he takes that mattress, takes it onto Mirapesa to the porch somehow, schleps it out, and tomorrow I'll deal with it. He takes his mattress with a fresh pair of bedstead, puts it for the boy to go to sleep, and he doesn't have a bed to sleep in. So he went to yeshiva. He went to the Bismedrash. He sat all night, falling asleep on the chair and so on. The boy didn't drink anything. He had nothing to make again. So that was dry. The rest of the night was dry. The next morning, the boy tells him, look, let's work at a program. I'm going to put my alarm clock every hour. I'll wake up, I'll wake you up, and you go to the toilet, and nobody has to know anything. Sure. So he wakes him up and he made up, let's stop drinking and let's work it out. And he found out that you can, build up your muscles and the kids to take this, take that. He found them vitamins and he did his research. I don't know how. And he helped the boy. And after a few months, the boy got out of it totally. And he got his muscles, he was built up, and he was all gewaldic. Now the year finished. They went their own ways. Everybody went to different yeshiva, and it is what it is. Fast forward 8 years later. The boy's 22. There's a girl that's the top of the top of the top. There's nothing like that. There's a shidduch out of heaven. Everybody's fighting for that girl, like literally everybody. And this boy, this tzaddik of a boy with the golden heart that helped his friend, found out about the shidduch, and they met. And the girl really liked the boy. They met one time, two times, three times, and they showed interest. They want to close the deal. They want to have a shidduch. And here comes an abrach that the parents of the girl said, we found out when they said he's a good learning boy. No, he's not. He's mediocre. He's average. Nothing above the average. Why should we settle for a bacher that's not going to become the Rashkabag? We want somebody to become a Gadlador. We have what it takes. We have the girl, we have all the money, we have all the chashivas, we have the status. Why should we settle? She says, but it's a good boy. I like him very much. He's a Edelis, Balamidis, a good guy. He's a learner. So he won't come to Rashkabag. He won't come to Gadlador. He won't come to the most famous brand name, Rosh Hashiva, or the Rav Dai, the Av Bezdin. So what? If he becomes a regular Rebbe and a regular Magachir, is that, or a Chashiv Ben Torah businessman, what's wrong? And the parents wouldn't hear of it. Why? Because they have a older son that set the standard. He's a Ili and a Godel and a Mamish. He's already a Dayan and he's a Choshen Mishpat and he's already, by age of 22, he's Paskin Shilas and he's a Rosh HaKoil and they're offering a job for the Rosh Shiva as well. And the kids are ganze Rashkabag already in the making. And why should we settle? We know the standard and we know that we don't have to sell ourselves short and we don't have to compromise. But the girl took a liking to the boy. She said, I don't know, to find such midas in her. So the parents said, but we're not masking. She doesn't know what to do. So she thought, I have an older brother that he set the standard, so it's his fault. And our parents listened to his opinion. So she called him up. He's already married. And she calls him up and she says, she starts crying. She says she met this bocha 3 times. And in the beginning, the parents offered to. She knew about the shidduch. The parents told her. And she really feels that he's a tzaddik, such an edel, such a good skite. I mean, mamish, it's being with him. You feel so secure. He's not judgmental, and he's such a simcha and everything. You feel the shechina with him, and then and the parents tell her no, they're not masking because he's not a rashka bahag. So he says, what do you want me to do? I mean, go fight. Like, give me something to work with. So she says, I'm reminded that the first meeting, at the end of the first meeting, he asked me, this is your family name. Do you know anybody with this family name, with the uncle, whatever, Chamyankel, this with your family name? Do you have any relative? She says, I have a brother. Tell me, did he learn in that yeshiva about 8 years ago, in that city, in that place? She says, yeah. Yeah, I don't know, it's 8 years ago, yeah, whatever. Tell me, does he know about our meeting? No, he doesn't know, just my parents and me. So he says, wow, he was my friend in yeshiva. They're a good friend of mine, close friend of mine in yeshiva 8 years ago. She says, wow, a small world. She forgot about it. And now she tells her brother, you should know him because he said he's your friend from yeshiva. And he says, what's his name? And she says his name. Total silence on the other side. Shock and silence, mamish. And he's choking up and he's swallowing. And he's, listen, you could count on me. Consider the shidduch done. I'll deal with the parents. Don't worry about it. Believe me, b'siyata d'shmaya, this shidduch, I'm closing the shidduch for you. Don't worry about mamita. It's on me. You know, they trust my opinion. It's on me. He calls up, she has no idea. He calls up his parents and he tells that, my sister, your daughter called me up. I want to tell you about this bacha. And he says, I never told it to you. I had the most greatest bushes in the world. I thought of burying myself. I thought of leaving yeshiva. I thought of never meshing in with Olam HaTorah. I came from this moshav. There was no way I'm going to embarrass myself to death by making my bedwetting. This guy was the Malach Elokim, the most righteous person in the world. He took it all upon himself. He saved my dignity. He made yeshiva, my experience in yeshiva, and he worked with me and he built me up and he built up my confidence and he showed me love and care. He made me. I'm this Talmud Chacham today. I'm this learner in Yerushalayim only because of him. He's my model. You got to be kidding. There's no better shidduch in the world that I would ever want for my sister or my daughter. And his parents heard that and they said, wow, shidduch was done. They called up the Shatchen or Maskim. They broke the plate, brechtelle, l'chaim. You cared about the Rabbeinu Shalom's child. You got yourself secured the best shidduch in the world. That is why lo hayam tovim ketubah, not because you got your shidduch, because how you got your shidduch. What did it take to get your shidduch? You put in effort, you put in hearts, soul into that, and Hashem paid you back tenfold. That's the Nachamu Ami. Thank you very much.